You're listening to Charlie Kirk Memorial to be on par with a state funeral in scale, security, a news story written by Kat Zekrajewski, Yvonne Wingett-Sanchez, and Derek Hawkins, and read by an AI-generated voice. Phoenix. With security on the level of a Super Bowl and a speaker lineup on par with a state funeral, conservative activist Charlie Kirk's service will combine memorial with political rally, requiring an unprecedented level of resources. President Donald Trump, Vice President J.D. Vance, and 5 members of the cabinet will deliver remarks at the event Sunday. The White House will send 2 government planes of staff. More than 200,000 people have responded online that they wanted tickets to the event at the 63,000-seat State Farm Stadium, and organizers have prepared overflow seating in a nearby arena even as they are unsure how many will turn out. Law enforcement agencies have prepared extensive security measures to address the risks of a rare gathering, with much of the presidential line of succession present inside an NFL stadium. 500 to 800 Secret Service officers have been deployed to the Phoenix area to help secure the event, according to a local official briefed on the figure by law enforcement, who spoke on the condition of anonymity to discuss security plans. The Department of Homeland Security has given the memorial its highest security designation, which is typically reserved for Super Bowls. This designation is reserved for events of the highest national significance and enables the federal government to provide the full range of law enforcement and security resources necessary to support local officials in ensuring a safe and successful event, said a DHS senior official, who also spoke on the condition of anonymity to discuss the security plans. The extensive high-level attendance, rivaling the list for the funeral of a former president, is especially notable given that Kirk was not only a private citizen, but a figure who, until his killing, was not well known to a large swath of Americans. As an influential activist, Kirk had a wide following among conservatives, including many younger ones and many friends in the administration. A poll by YouGov released a few days after Kirk's killing September 10th found, however, that only about 1 in 4 Americans said they were very familiar with him before his death, while 43% reported they were not very familiar or not at all familiar with him. Those who had an opinion were about evenly split on what they thought of him, the poll found. Organized by the political arm of Kirk's organization, Turning Point USA, the hours-long event will feature voter registration drives, requests for political donations, and the music typically played at Trump's raucous rallies. The hasty planning also reflects the challenges of pulling off a high-profile memorial service that was born out of an act of apparently political violence. There have already been threats to State Farm Stadium, creating unease among some of those who plan to attend. On Friday, an armed man was booked on felony and misdemeanor charges after he allegedly pretended to be a law enforcement officer and infiltrated the facility. A Turning Point spokesman told Fox News on Saturday that the man was doing advanced security for a known guest, but that wasn't properly coordinated with the Secret Service. The gathering is expected to feature the pyrotechnics and production value of Turning Point's elaborate events, and it will provide a window into the future of conservative politics at a time when Americans remain deeply polarized over Kirk and his legacy. Kirk was positioned to play a critical role in shaping the next generation of the conservative movement. Now, as MAGA unites to honor him Sunday, that future is likely to be on display. Vance, who has not formally declared an intention to run for president in 2028, has played a leading role in the conservative mourning of Kirk, transporting his casket on Air Force Two and hosting Kirk's podcasts. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, whom Trump has floated as a potential running mate to Vance, and Donald Trump Jr., a close Kirk friend and the president's eldest son, who has been floated as a potential heir to the mega movement, are also on the agenda. Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. will have a prime speaking spot before Vance and Trump close out the event, according to a draft of the agenda that could change. A handful of politicians in the line of succession, including Senate President pro tempore Chuck Grassley, Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick, and Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, are expected to sit out the event. The lineup underscores how quickly Kirk's death has taken on political dimensions, as videos of the shooting during a debate on a college campus immediately went viral across social media. In the days since his death, the president and his deputies have seized the moment to punish left-wing groups and people who they say have disparaged Kirk's legacy. Trump and his staff have credited Kirk with converting young voters to support the president in 2024, and the White House has taken extraordinary measures to honor his legacy. Trump Trump delivered an Oval Office address following the shooting and ordered flags to fly at half-staff. Top White House officials, including Chief of Staff Susie Wiles, spent time Monday appearing on a 2-hour episode of Kirk's podcast. The White House also produced a 3-minute video commemorating Kirk's legacy, which included excerpts from his events and images of the vigils held in his remembrance. The intensive efforts to commemorate Kirk have drawn opposition from some of the activist critics, who have highlighted Kirk's polarizing remarks about race, women, and transgender individuals since his death. The partisan divisions over Kirk's legacy were on display Friday, when the House adopted a resolution honoring his life and legacy and condemning political violence. 95 Democrats supported the measure, while 38 voted present and 58 voted no. Because the memorial involves nearly all of the top people the Secret Service protects, the event will require a surge of agents from Protective Details and the local field office, as well as other federal, state, and local law enforcement officers. It's all hands on deck for something of this magnitude. You can't shortchange it, said Robert Johnson, a retired Secret Service agent who served on the Joint Terrorism Task Force in New York. It's a very high-threat environment because of the political controversy and the division that we've had on social media the past few days, said Johnson, who also worked on former President Bill Clinton's detail. Security needs to be planned at a presidential level. Working on just days' notice, agents have blocked off motorcade routes in the region, planned airport logistics, mapped possible evacuations, and set up security checkpoints, according to service officials. Counter snipers have posted up in the area, and K-9 teams have swept for explosives. Intelligence experts will monitor online activity for threats and potential unrest. Adding to the pressure on security, Kirk's memorial is taking place on the eve of the UN General Assembly in New York, one of the largest and most complex security events of the year. Planning for the UN meeting in Midtown Manhattan begins months in advance and draws hundreds of Secret Service personnel from around the country. Derek Mayer, a former deputy special agent in charge of the Secret Service's Chicago field office, said that while arranging security at the service is a complex operation, the service is well accustomed to securing multiple protective events at the same time. He noted that the 2024 presidential race was in full swing during last year's UN General Assembly, with the candidates and their spouses receiving full-time protection and making multiple campaign stops every day. The Secret Service is used to being spread out in many different directions, said Mayer, who oversaw security at the 2024 Democratic National Convention and other high-profile events. The Phoenix area has also hosted high-level protective events recently, giving law enforcement officials a template to work off, Johnson said. During the 2024 campaign, Trump and then Vice President Kamala Harris held rallies at Desert Diamond Arena, the overflow venue for the service. Hawkins reported from Washington. Marianne Levine, Jacob Bogage, and Theodoric Meyer in Washington contributed to this report.